Hi there, you're at an English language support mini workshop about paraphrasing. What is it? How do we do it? When do we do it? Stick around to find out. On the screen we have a bit of an overview of what we'll cover in the next 10 minutes or so. We'll start with an explanation, and we'll look at the how-tos of paraphrasing with some examples, and then you'll have a go yourself. So, what is paraphrasing? We've got a few definitions here on the screen. Basically, paraphrasing is retelling someone else's idea in your own words. You don't change the meaning, and you don't leave out any detail. The word paraphrasing comes from Latin. For visual learners, we can imagine two statements sitting alongside each other, saying the same thing. If this is a bit confusing, I want you to think of paraphrasing like a brother. He comes from the same home and believes the same ideas, but looks different. Paraphrasing is not a twin. It is important that your retelling looks different to the original. But why do we want to retell someone else's ideas in our own words? Good question. To provide evidence for our ideas. Well, paraphrasing shows that we've understood the original text. It allows us to add other people's ideas to our essays without copying. So in this way, paraphrasing is a type of evidence. It shows that our idea is supported by another person. But why not just use a quote? Well, sometimes quotes are written in a different tense or with a different tone. This can be disruptive for the reader and can create confusion about who the real author is. When an essay has too many quotes, it's hard to build and progress an argument that's convincing. Quotes also don't show any understanding. Quotes are copied word for word, and so are not transformed to fit the idea that you're trying to communicate. Quotes are one of three concepts commonly confused with paraphrasing. The other two are summarizing and the main idea. The important thing here is that summarizing and the main idea reduce the detail from the original text. They take a passage and make it shorter. In comparison, paraphrasing keeps all the detail from the original text. Okay, so how do we paraphrase? We've got 6 steps. I'll read them out for you and then we'll go through them in detail. So first, we need to understand the text. Then we need to make notes of the key information. We need to think about the main idea. Then we can close the original text and rewrite from our notes. We need to cite the source, and then we need to check that the original meaning is maintained. Step 1. Understanding the text. So first, we need to make sure that we completely get the text. Remember that the purpose of paraphrasing is to demonstrate understanding. We can't tell someone something that we don't actually understand ourselves. If you don't understand the passage the first time, read it again, and again, and again, until you do understand it. If the problem is the words, not the ideas, you can use an AI tool to simplify the English. Just remember that these AI tools sometimes make mistakes. Once we understand the text, we need to write down the key information. We want to keep this short so we're not tempted to copy any of the words from the original text. You should write down things like numbers, technical words, and main ideas. Try to use less than 5 words per dot point. Now let's think about what the text was trying to say. We can use the 5 W's, who, what, when, where, and why, to help us. For example, who wrote this text? When did they write it? Why did they write it? Who do they want to read it? These are all important for helping us keep the original message the same. It's now time to rewrite the original text ourselves. So close the text, but keep your notes open. Write the original passage in your own way. If it helps, you can start with an entry phrase, like according to. At the end of our new passage, let's not forget to put the name and date of the original author. And now let's check. Put the original text and your paraphrased version alongside each other and read over them. Remember, we want these texts to mean the same thing, but use completely different words, like brothers, not like twins. Paraphrasing may seem complex, but like any other skill, it becomes easy and super quick with some practice. Soon, you won't even have to be thinking about it. For now, though, here are some tips. So, complex sentences all have clauses, or different ideas in the same sentence. These are often separated by a comma. To paraphrase, we can break a sentence into clauses to rearrange them. For example, we could start at the middle of a sentence. We could also change individual words to their synonyms. For example, sad to blue, or to a different word type, like sad, an adjective, to saddened, a past participle. Or we could change it to a negative word, like sad to unhappy. Or we could change the sentence structure. We can change past tense to past participle and add was. For example, wrote to was written. This changes the tone to a passive voice, which we often use for paraphrasing. Last, we can also change the length of our passage, perhaps by breaking a long sentence into two smaller parts. An easy way to start, especially when paraphrasing a longer piece of writing, is with an entry phrase. These are phrases that help you to introduce the text or the author. On the screen are some examples. Before we look at some worked examples together, let's remember these tips. No quotation marks, same meaning, referencing is important, and not all words have synonyms. I hope you're not starting to feel like this guy with all the notes on his head. Just in case that little guy is you, let's have a break. Given we're online, you can pause the video and call a friend or chat to your housemate instead of the person beside you. Okay, back. Let's do a little exercise. I want you to tell me what your partner talked about. Say it out loud and try to include every detail they mentioned. Pause the video if you need to. Now guess what? You just paraphrased using a trick called tell your friend. Good on ya. Now let's look at a few worked examples. I've taken a passage of text and have paraphrased it below. I'd like you to read these two passages yourself and have a think about what is similar and what is different about the two. Pause the video if you need to. Okay, so here are a few of the things you should have noticed. First, we've changed the starting point from international students to challenges, which has moved students further to the middle of the sentence. This is underlined. We've also changed a lot of words to their synonyms. Each pair is a different colour. Some of these are international students to foreign learners, universities to higher education, experience to face, difficulties to challenges, adjust to adapt, differences to norms. Notice that this last one, differences to norms, changes from negative to positive. The last thing we've done is group information together to form a shorter sentence. Now we're using the single adjective new to describe the whole experience of international students. And of course, we've added a reference. Ready to try again? Read the notes on the right and then read the passage. I don't want you to write anything down just yet, but I want you to think about how you might paraphrase this. Did you get something like this? Have a read. Okay, let's break it down. So we've used a lot of synonyms. We've changed economic policies to economic measures, government to governmental, had to exerted, profound impact to significant influence, country's growth rate to rate of economic expansion for the nation. There's one special synonym we've used. Can you tell which one it is? It's government to governmental. We've changed a noun to an adjective, which means that our paraphrase sentence now uses passive voice. And of course, we've added a reference at the bottom. This is a lot to take in, and if English isn't your first language, this might be quite tricky. So if you have any questions, you're welcome to email me. My email's up on the screen. Okay, feeling ready to practice? If there's someone nearby you can work with, I recommend doing the first practice in pairs. Follow the steps on the side and write your paraphrased version. Feel free to pause the video, and you're welcome to email me your paragraph for feedback. Practice number 2. This time, our paragraph is a bit longer and a bit more technical. This is closer to the sorts of passages you'll be required to write in your classes. Again, pause the video and send me your responses if you'd like feedback. Now, if you're still a bit lost, you can check out this Grammarly guide, which includes a paraphrasing AI tool. Every student at IMC has access to a Grammarly Pro account, so you have this service at your fingertips. You can also practice more paraphrasing with this link on the right. And if you had any concerns, questions, or suggestions, shoot me an email. My email is up here, and I'd love to hear from you. Hope you found this video useful.